Hello everyone, it's Susan from Susan Salutations and Papercraft Central. Susan Salutations is actually where my online shop is for all Australian viewers. Okay, I just had a lovely little card to show you. I've been crafting in my new craft room and I came up with this that a friend of mine showed me how to do. I'm not sure what the name of the card is. It's like an easel card though. What I did was I made a little box envelope for it because, as you can see, the card's quite thick. So I just added extra score lines to the flaps of my envelopes that I made with the envelope punch board so that it winds up being a little stand-up envelope shape. Well, it's a little box shape so that you can fit your card in, stand-up envelope. Okay, so the card doesn't look very spectacular at the moment. Let's just take this away. But when I open it up, you'll see that it is a little bit more involved. Just laying it out like that, you can see it has a lot of interesting panels in it. But where it really shines is when you stand it up by crossing over the two bottom parts, folding back these flaps, and then setting up the little easel. So it makes it like a little center stage piece for your card. Now I'm sure you'd like to know how to make this. I sure did. So you just fold it down again, or I'll just leave it up for now because I'll use it, bring it back in at the end. So here's how you make this piece. Now I've done millimeters as well as inches for this. This is a piece of powder pink that's about to be retired, I believe, in the next catalogue. But you start off with a square piece of cardstock, 8 inches square or 202 millimeters. Then you score it right down the middle of the cardstock both ways at 101 millimeters or 4 inches. Then you cut up to the center line like this. And you also do another scoring job on the top two corners. So where you've cut up the middle, these two corners you score diagonally so that you can fold them back like that. Okay, so two corners like that. All right, so that's your basic mechanism. Of course, then you need to fold your card up. So you need to fold it in the middle, making sure you match the corners. And use a bone folder to reinforce those folds. And then fold it down the middle, like this. So you can see how it's going to fit together now. And you fold those two back. So you just reinforce those folds. So you're basically starting with a square and dividing that square in half both ways, and then folding back the top two squares flaps. Okay? Now to make the actual mechanism for the middle, well, no, before I do that, I'll just show you. You need to cut 4 mats for each corner, 9.5 centimeters square or 3 1/4 inches square. So you want to wind up with 4 mats like this with corresponding DSP to pretty them up. So now I've got one facing the opposite direction because a little secret to this matting these corner pieces where you've done the triangular score lines, you cut your mat down the middle and you use that on each side. But this piece you need to cut down the middle and use on either side. So I'll just cut this one down the middle for you. And I don't measure, I just line up on the runner line there, and there, so that I know that I'm going to have perfect triangles. And we'll get the scoring blade out of the way and just cut it up the middle. Okay, so you get two pieces the same. but I'll show you why you need to know about this trick. Turning that over and putting it there doesn't always fit. I found that I had trouble sometimes fitting those two, but these seem to be looking pretty good actually. I'll just cut this in the middle too. So you want to cut your top two triangles and right down the middle. You leave your bottom two mats square, but you cut the top two mats into triangles. Goodness, I didn't cut that very well. Okay. So then your top two triangles fit like this. And you have the two yellow pieces. You want, with this one, I put red in the middle like that because I think it looks nice with that as a contrast, and it sort of sets that little stage piece off a bit. So I was going to put yellow on this one, like that. So then you cut this one in half as well, and then you cut these pieces in half and put one up here and one up here, and you glue these ones down together. So then the other secret to this card is how to make the little easel mechanism. So what I did was I used some, oh, by the way, that was the Garden Impressions 6x6 Designer Series paper pack that I used for the DSP. It's about to retire too. And then I used the layering ovals or layering circles framelits. Ovals. Okay. And I made this little mechanism. So what I did was I chose the largest scallop circle die and the largest plain circle die. And I got a piece of card stock like this. I just folded it over into a little card shape, and I used my large circle die to cut like that. So I left a little gap at the top. So when you cut that, you run that through the big shot, you wind up with a little hinged circle card. Okay? Then what I did, there's another trick to keeping this straight. Bring back my scoring tool. I needed to have that circle folded more or less in half, but I wanted it to be in line with my hinge. So what I've done is I've actually lined up this hinge with a line on my cutting tool like that, so that I know that the circle is going to be pretty straight. So I've just sort of moved it over so that I know that it's in the middle of two of the lines, but I know it's more or less parallel. And then I just scored my circle so that I wind up with a little circle easel card. Now, I do have a tutorial about easel cards on Papercraft Central if you'd like to learn about how to make a basic easel card. But this one is just a fancy easel card. So then I used my scallop circle die to cut out a contrasting mat for my easel card, and I glued that to the base, and that's going to fit on there when it's all put together. But then to make the actual focal point, like this one I put the little dogs on the focal point, when you lay it down, you'll see the little easel card is in there. The easel circle is in there, working away, because what I've done is I've done my stamping, and then I've glued this to half of my easel card. You see? So you leave that top half unglued. When it closes down, all three circles will line up. But of course, when you open it, once it's glued, see if I can hold it together, you'll have your full circle and a half circle holding it up. I hope that shows you how to do it. And then always with a little easel card, you also need a stopper. So I cut out 3 punched shapes. This is a retired punch, but you could use a die to cut out 3 punch shapes and adhere them together and then put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. And I'm just going to place that in my card like that, lined up with that line again, so that it will be straight. And then you have a mechanism that will hold up your easel card when it's done. And the other thing you have to be aware of is when you put your easel card on your scallop circle die, you need to make sure that it's going to be reasonably diagonally in line with these 2 points. Otherwise your easel card's going to open up crooked. Okay, so you just try to make sure everything more or less lines up when you glue it down with the 2 corners. I'll show you on the finished card. So I've just lined up these 2 sides here like that, so that when I open my card, it's going to open with that point as its center back. So when you do put the card together, it's not going to be opening crooked. The easel card isn't going to be sitting crooked in your card. Ask me how I know that they can be crooked. Yes, the first one I made turned out to be a little bit crooked. See how it's off center? I don't know if you can see that, but it's off center. Okay, so you live and learn. But then you just decorate your card up the way you want to. Always do your stamping on flat surfaces if you can. So decorate this center circle first before you adhere it to the easel card mechanism. And decorate inside here before you glue it onto this base. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I've enjoyed making my little easel cards. Oh, the last little trick. I found some little adhesive shapes here. They're actually Velcro shapes. One side's soft and the other side has teeth. And what I did, the side with the teeth is actually fairly clear. Can you see that it's fairly clear? They're not absolutely clear. They're a little cloudy, but they're certainly clearer than these. They're pure white. So I put the clear bit on the bottom under my card. I put it here on the corner of that heart. And then I placed the white bit, one of the white bits, on top of it so that it sticks to it. Then I closed up my card to pick that white piece up. So it wound up being in exactly the right spot so that you can close that the same way every time and it will look nice. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Please come back and visit soon. I will have some more things to show you on